Welcome back to episode 22 of the Snatch Chat Podcast. So I have asked the Oates Performance Lab, which is a school community where I've got the athletes that I coach, but also people that are accessing the free resources that I put out there, such as the weightlifting toolbox. Q&A basically. Give me some questions for this episode of the podcast. So I've got the questions right in front of me. We're going to go through them. Let's get stuck in. So, first question. Why do I keep jumping forwards every time I snatch or clean? Okay, so if you're jumping forwards in the snatch or clean, this is indicating that the weight through the lift, so from the floor to your power position, your high hang position for the snatch, top of the thighs, clean, the weight distribution is off. Okay, 9 times out of 10 that weight is sort of coming towards that the toes. Now, is that because you're pulling the bar off the floor, so the bar is actually staying away from the body, or is it the fact that you're looking to get into extension too soon? That is what you've basically got to look at here. There's different areas or there's different things that could be potentially causing you to jump forwards. You've got to analyse that movement. If you don't know what that is, get someone to help you identify that. Now, funny enough, it's a little bit of a plug, but the Performance Lab, which is a free school community, every week I let people upload videos so they can actually get feedback from myself. So if you're not in the group, get yourself in the group, so then you can put a video up and I can actually show you or tell you what you're doing wrong. But it's probably down to one of those things. You're pulling the weight off the floor rather than pushing through those legs. The bar is staying away from you and it's causing you to jump forwards. The weight is just tracking towards those toes. Or as you're getting past the knee, you're trying to extend too soon, okay, which is causing you to bang the weight off the thighs. You're in your toes, you're going to end up jumping forwards. But you don't know what the fix is going to be until you've identified the root cause of that. And when you analyse any movement, whether you've lost the bar behind you in the snatch, always look at what's happening in that start position and then move up that movement. Never look and assume that you've dropped that bar overhead in the snatch or you've bent the elbow in the snatch because of that lockout. Always revert back to the start and then see what happens through that lift. It's a domino effect Olympic lifting. Something happens at the start, it's only going to pull you out of line for the rest of that movement. So you've always got to start with the start. Question number 2. My clean keeps improving, but my jerk is stuck. What am I doing wrong? Okay. Again, this is really hard to know what you're doing wrong, only because I don't know what your lift is looking like. But without knowing what you lift, there's a few things that you can sort of consider. The first one is look at increasing your jerk volume. So how many times a week are you doing jerks? Now, not clean and jerks, because if your clean is really good, you're not giving the time and the focus for the jerks. So you might look at your program and go, okay, I'm training 3 days a week. Session 1, jerk focus. Session 2, there's going to be a little bit more jerk in there, but on its own. And then session 3 is where you'll look to do clean and jerks. So limit how many times a week that you're doing clean and jerks together. Break that movement down and increase the individual volume of the jerk. So then the next thing, so once now you go, okay, I'm going to increase my jerk volume. Very similar to question 1, you've got to analyse that movement to actually see what is that limiting factor. Are you pressing the bar off your shoulders, pushing it forwards, which is obviously increasing or decreasing the chance of you locking the bar out, or are you having a soft bend in that elbow? Or are you just losing stability overhead? You've got to find out the root cause of what is happening. From that root cause, we can look to specify what we're going to do in session 1 and session 2 to fix that problem. Okay, if you're driving that weight forwards or pressing that bar off your shoulders, it might be a cue such as keep the hand open. You're only going to grab that bar when you hit that split, and you're going to take a look at movements, split jerks with a pause overhead, concentric jerk, so you're literally just driving out, so you start the bar on blocks in your dip position and you're just going to drive upwards. Okay, that's going to really help to think about driving off the midfoot, giving you maximal power vertically, increasing the chances of that lockout. So again, the biggest thing here How many times are you doing jerks on the run? If you have the capacity, increase the amount of times that you do individual jerk within the week. Once you look at that and go, okay, cool, I'm going to jerk every single session, and it's only going to be one session of clean and jerks, what are you going to do in those two movements? But again, you don't necessarily always have to look for a drill. It might well be that you've just got to drill the jerk, okay? Keep them both as split jerks. One is going to have a longer pause in that receive position. The other one is slightly heavier jerks where you can look to try and push and expose yourself to those heavier weights. Get really good at jerks, basically. You don't need to always look for a variant of the movement. It might just be standard split jerks for those sessions. Question number 3. My technique feels good at lighter weights, but as soon as it's heavy, it falls apart. Why? So your technique feels good, okay? Now, when you say as soon as it's heavy, it falls apart. What percentage of your 1 rep max does it start to fall apart? The biggest thing here that I'll look at, or what I would say, if this is my athlete, and I can see as we get to 85%, that's where the movement breaks down. We need to increase the capacity at 80 to 85%, okay? Now, I've actually having this conversation with one of my clients in the week. Her snatches have been looking really, really good. We've made so many technical changes in the 9 weeks that we've been working together so far, okay? So we've done a GPP block where the volume's nice and high, the weight is relatively lower in comparison to where we are now. That's given us the opportunity to have the time to think about the changes that we want to make. We've made some changes. Now we're in this strength block of work. We're working between 80 and 85%. The lift is looking good, but the head is playing games, okay? In the fact that she has 3 cues or 3 points that we're looking to try and fix, okay? The first point is going to naturally fix those next 2 points. As we get to that 85% mark, she's now got herself in a head with it, okay? She is self-doubting herself, thinking about these 3 cues in the lift, which is then creating instability and just creating the movement to not feel as sharp as the previous 8 weeks. Now, my thing to her was, the movement is absolutely fine. It's the way that you approach that lift, okay? So once you start to find that percentage where you go, okay, it's breaking down, you now need to be more clinical with that set at hand. So you can't just go to the bar and be like, okay, I'm going to think about all these different things that I think I've thought about in the previous set working up to this percentage and just action it. You haven't got the time. The movement now is going to be faster, it's going to be sharper. So it's all about the approach to that lift. Before that bar, so literally I'm going to be lifting in 1 to 2 minutes. So right now, I'm drilling over those 3 points and how I want that movement to be. As soon as I step up to the bar, I can't think about those 3 points. I might have been able to think about them when I was working at 70%, but now that weight is getting heavier, I've also got that seed of doubt in the back of my mind going, okay, this is a bigger weight, I've got to move this bar. But then as that thought is going around my head, I'm also thinking about weight to the midfoot, making sure the bar's against me, I need to aggressively stamp hard under that bar. And all of a sudden, you're clogged up, you've got no energy to actually execute it, okay? You're at this 80 to 85% mark, test yourself, okay? This is literally what I told my athlete is, literally, fuck about and find out. Let's go for it. Give yourself that time before that set, think about the things, but as you set up to that bar and you're about to lift, forget them, and you're just gonna think about that one big, like that main cue, okay? For her, it's aggression, bringing that bar into the hip crease, making aggressive hip contact. Forget about the other things, aggressive hip contact, see how that movement pans out, okay? If we've got aggressive hip contact and we're working on that one main cue at 80 to 85% because that's where it's starting to break down, fantastic. Work on that one cue, okay? And we're gonna keep in this area, we might even, over this sort of like 6 to 8 week block of strength, we might not look to build above 85%, but we might look to go, okay, we've been doing doubles and they've been moving well. Now let's just reduce that volume down ever so slightly, but look at doing triples, okay? So I'm putting myself, or I'm exposing myself to a higher demand on that movement within that set, okay? That is a way of progressing and giving yourself that confidence to go, okay, I'm okay with 85%, now I can look to start to build on. If things starting to feel heavy, you don't naturally need to just build on because the sport requires me to hit a 1 rep max. Build a bigger capacity. That's the biggest thing. If I was having a block of flats and it's 10 stories tall, I've got foundations for a 10-story tall building. If I needed to add on an extra 2 to 3 feet, I don't just go straight to the top and add those next 2 to 3 levels on. I've got to go all the way back down to the foundations, make the foundations stronger, bigger, and then work myself up. And that's exactly how you've got to start to look at those Olympic lifts. Okay, I've added one floor. I've got a little bit of instability. Right, hold it there. Build the bigger capacity at that before we look to build again. Okay. Just think that we don't need to always look at increasing the intensity of the lift. It might well be increasing the volume to actually help you build your confidence, but also give you that time to go, okay, I've now done doubles at this, I know how it feels, I've got that element of fatigue, and I'll start hitting a third rep. I've waffled on there, but it's one of the biggest things that I think a lot of lifters will face, and definitely ask me that question, okay? It's now starting to feel shit here, why? Don't worry about it. We've got to go through those emotions, talk about, find out, let's see what's starting to break down, and then we can start to halter the percentage work at there and look to increase the capacity, increase the volume, get good at that percentage before we look to build. Okay, that is literally weightlifting. All good weightlifters would look at building capacity at all these different areas. They wouldn't literally just go 85% felt all right, I'll go to 90%, 90% feels shit, but I got a good rep, right, let me build 95. They will build confidence and capacity at each percentage block as they build. It's what you do, okay? Especially in weightlifting, where it requires more about the consistency of that movement. One trick pony and I can do this 1 rep max and it's taken me 10 attempts doesn't cut it in a competition. You've got 3 attempts. We've got to lift with good technique, okay? We've got to have the ability and the consistency within our training, and volume is one of the things that is going to help us out there. Next question. Is it okay to mix Olympic lifting with calisthenics and jumping, or will that mess up my progress? Absolutely not. If you're doing weightlifting, so you're doing weightlifting 3 times a week and you're looking to add in calisthenics and jumping, calisthenics 9 times out of 10, a lot of core stability work. When you look at Olympic lifting movements, we need a strong core stability to lock that weight overhead, maintain solid positions. Jumping is increasing the power output, okay, depending on what sort of jumps we look at, but we're going to become a springier athlete. Those 2 things are perfect for weightlifting. We want to build a strong core, we want to be nice and powerful and explosive. Calisthenics gives us the core strength, and your jumping gives you a stronger rate of force and builds your power development. They work hand in hand, that's absolutely fine. Don't stress it. The biggest thing you're going to look at there is, can you do all those 3 things and it still fit into your lifestyle? One of the biggest things with me is I always want to make sure that training fits lifestyles. Not lifestyle needs to fit my training, okay? I swam for a lot of my childhood, and one of the reasons why I gave it up is because absolutely nothing fit with it whatsoever when I got to the age of like 17. I got a job. Swimming literally took my life. I was swimming all of the time. Back then, swimming was all about the meterage, how many meters that you get in. And I was just devoting all my time to being in the pool, going up and down, and getting the volume under my belt. That now is not the way that we need to work. Okay? And it's definitely not the way to build to a heavier and a stronger 1 rep max snatch and things, or any strength-based movement. It is not about going, okay, I need to do more, and that's the only way to progress. Being savvy with your program, making sure your program fits your lifestyle, only means that the quality is going to be there. If you're trying to get your lifestyle to fit training, 9 times out of 10, the quality is out the window because you're rushing it, things are a little bit shit, and you're focusing on quantity. It's the wrong thing to focus on. Focus on quality, everything else fits in. Quality is built on making sure that your training plan fits your lifestyle. Next question. What exercise should I actually be doing to improve my Olympic lifts? Now, if you're asking that question, what exercise should I be doing? Don't worry about the variant of that movement, okay? Olympic lifting is snatch, clean, and jerk, okay? We only look at movements or variants of those lifts when we are looking to correct a specific issue. But that doesn't mean we have got to go straight into looking for variance. Okay, depending on your training age and how long you've been doing weightlifting for. If you're relatively new, you've literally been doing it for less than 2.5 years. In all honesty, I would literally just look at doing the basic movements: snatch, clean, and split jerk. And just look at, those are my 3 movements. I want to get really good at the snatch, clean, and split jerk. I'm not going to worry about the variance. I'm going to work on these things. 9 times out of 10, the best program is the boring program that just works on the things that need to be worked on. Okay? Forget about the arty-farty fancy bits that look good. Just get some solid work in. Solid snatches, solid clean, solid jerks. Potentially look at just holding that receive position overhead so you're building the proprioception in the snatch. Very similar to do that in the jerk as well. You might look at doing clean front squats just to build the capacity in those legs. Okay, so you've got then the energy to execute the jerk. Just look at doing the bog standard movements, and once you've exhausted all those areas, then start to look, okay, at that sort of, you've been doing it 2.5 years, you might now start to look at variations of the movements. You can look at doing variations of the movements beforehand, but sometimes I think we can hyperfixate on looking for the variant that's going to give me the best bang for my buck, when in reality, the biggest thing that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck is doing the bog standard snatch, clean, split jerk. Forget about the accessories, just get really good at doing those movements. Keep it light, drill that movement, build the intensity up, reduce that volume down, and just make sure to look to maintain that technique the whole way through until you hit 1 reps. And then do that that cycle again, okay? Changing the rep schemes, but we don't always need to look for the best movement. Next question. I've only got a few hours each week to train. Can I still make progress? 100%. Now, it's not about how many times you can train. It is about the quality of that training session. I coach people that literally do weightlifting twice a week. I've got a couple of people that do weightlifting twice a week, but they are fitting it in with their CrossFit workouts. So their sessions are super, super short. They're doing snatches and clean and jerks in both sessions. Okay, their session is going to literally be 45 minutes. But their session is going to be a bolt-on to the start of CrossFit class. All we're looking to do is make sure the quality is super high in there. We are looking for a really good 2 quality sessions. What we don't want to do is give that person 4 sessions. Now they're dealing with full-time CrossFit, full-time weightlifting, trying to merge them together, fatigue, energy output decreases. You're then going to start to get sloppy reps. Focus on quality. If you can only dedicate 2 sessions per week, 3 sessions per week, absolutely fine. You can get really, really good results because you're going to focus on the quality and not the quantity. I've only got a few... Oh no, sorry, that's the question I've just done. If my lifts feel messy, should I be focusing on fixing my pull or my catch first? Okay, if my lift feels messy. So, this could either be the snatch or clean jerk. Again, I said it previously, but the catch feels messy. Okay? My lift feels messy. Sorry, I thought it was the catch. Alright, perfect. The lift feels messy. What part of the lift feels messy? I've said it before in this podcast. Say it again and again and again in all the other episodes of this podcast. Look at the start position. If that start position is perfect, super happy, weight is through the midfoot, the bar is against the shins, it's going to paint the shins, my arms are nice and loose, I'm driving off the midfoot, fantastic. We then look at the next stage of that movement. We always look at what's happening at the floor. If the start position is brilliant, let's see what is happening at the hang position. Because if your lift starts to feel messy, somewhere in that movement from the floor into your extension, something is slightly off. It is not the end of it's not necessarily always the end of the lift. Always look at the start and then look to analyze up the movement. You've asked here about should I be focusing on fixing my pull or my catch first? What's the thing that's going to happen first? Okay, it's going to be your pull. So look at doing pulls. But both of the things here work in hand. Your session, let's just go argument's sake, it's the snatch we're talking about. I'm going to do standard snatches at the start of the session. I'm then going to do floating snatch grip deadlifts as my second part of this session. And what I want to really try and hone in on here, weight stays through the midfoot the whole way through. My arms stay nice and relaxed. I'm looking to paint the shins, thighs and hips. Once I get to my hips, there's going to be me squeezing my glutes, flexing my elbow. Not a pull, up nice and high, flexing my elbow. That's how we want that bar to move. All your pulls or your deadlifts after your main block of work in the snatches and even the cleans, it's all about trying to reinforce what you're trying to work on, okay? So that's what I would say first. If your catch feels off, you're still going to have a high focus on fixing the pull, but your catch position can be improved with your accessory-based movements. So you might start to go, okay, I'm going to do Oates press. That's going to test my overhead position. And you might start to go, okay, what's causing my overhead position? It might well be mobility of the shoulders and the thoracic spine. I'm going to focus on my shoulders and thoracic spine in my sessions to make sure that is not going to be my limiting factor. You've just got to break down training and go, this is snatches, this is the area I want to work on. I've got to make sure the weight is driven through the centre of the foot, so I'm going to be doing my floating snatch pulls. I know that my catch is out, probably down to what is happening from the floor into my high hang, but to strengthen the overhead position, my accessory-based movements after the main blocks of work is going to have a focus around that. Oates press, it might well be pendlay rows. I'm looking for shoulder stability. Let's do jerk and split to make it a little bit more specific to my clean my split jerk. If it's my snatch position overhead, I'm looking at heaving snatch balances, overhead squats. Test that out. Build the strength in the pull. Test out what's happening in your receive position. Next question. What exercise should I actually be doing to improve my Olympic lifts? I've just done that one. A few hours each week, just done that one. If my lifts are messy, just done that one. Next question. Do I need to get stronger first or just keep working on my technique? So it's not about choosing one or the other. They both go hand in hand. It's about choosing the one which is going to have the highest priority. For argument's sake, it's going to be the technique of the Olympic lifts. I'm going to have that at the start of my program when I've got most energy. Okay, the strength elements of Olympic lifting, that is going to be the accessory-based movements. So even if I've got an athlete and they've come to me and they're looking to learn the Olympic lifting movement, so it's super, super light, that is what they're doing at the start of the session, but there's always going to be an element of strength thereafter. We're going to be looking at back squats, front squats, presses overhead, whether that's strict press, push press, and our deadlifts. They're the things that I'm classing as my accessories. They're the things that are happening after that technical block, but those things there that are building strength are looking to improve my positions in that movement or in that full lift, okay? I'm making sure that they both work hand in hand. If I am jumping forwards in my snatch, I'm going to be taking a look at movements such as no feet snatches, okay? No feet snatches are going to reinforce that in my full lift, but I'm also going to look at doing floating snatch pulls, okay? And the main reason there is I'm looking to drill the weight through the midfoot for as long as possible. I'm also then going to look at doing an accessory-based movement as a heaving snatch balance into an overhead squat because that's going to test the strength, the mobility, the confidence to drop underneath that bar. Just keep it super, super simple. It's the biggest thing that I can say right now. Next question. What injuries should I be careful of with Olympic lifts and how do I avoid them? As with any style of training, there's always some element of stress on the body, especially when you're jumping underneath bars like you do in a snatch and clean jerk. When it comes to common injuries, it's mainly around joints. It's going to be knee tendonitis maybe, or some sort of knee flare-up. It might be around the shoulders, so you're going to start doing scapular pull-ups to increase the range of movement that you've got in the shoulders. Knees, shoulders, your elbows take a battering. It's a lot of snapping forward, snapping overhead, snapping back into that jerk. So you might find that you get tendonitis of the elbow. But the thing that's going to help with this is making sure that with your program, even though you have a higher focus on Olympic lifting because you want to get good at the snatch and clean and jerk, there is going to still be an element of strength and conditioning. And I say strength and conditioning like this because I fucking hate the word strength and conditioning. I think it's overrated, that's the word. In my opinion, it's overrated, and really all we're looking to try and do is have a steady flow of exercises across the week that are going to strengthen up the main muscle groups. And again, I've said this in previous episodes. Squat movements, your presses, your squats, your single leg movements, your hinges, that's your deadlifts, your presses, push press, strict press, dumbbell press, and your pulls, okay? These are the 5 elements that I'm looking to try and get into those 3 sessions if I'm doing a 3-day program. I don't want to do all 5 movements or be heavy in one session on accessories and then dwindle away at the end of the week. one thing that's really, really helped me out is looking at leg extensions and lying leg curls to strengthen around my joints so my knees don't flare up. And honestly, going off tangent here, I actually trained today. I had a really, really good session. Won't really mean much to very many people, but 120 for 3 snatches, for 3 cleans. Felt really, really good, really light. And then as I did that set, I was like, fuck, that's amazing. Feel really, really good. But why? Because I'm only now snatching once a week, cleaning once a week, and jerking once a week. I'm not even doing clean and jerks together, and I'm only snatching once a week. Why is it feeling good? And for me, it's because my joints are feeling strong and they're feeling quite healthy. Probably because I've dramatically dropped my overall volume since my baby daughter Aurora was born. Okay, and knowing that my session needed to be a little bit shorter to not encroach in my day-to-day life. So because my knees feel better, I've got more confidence going into that set because I'm not going, shit, as soon as I lift this, I'm going to feel it in my knees. So yeah, what was the question? What injuries should I be careful of? Yeah, be careful of certain injuries, especially around the joints. If you feel like you're getting injured, your joints are feeling pretty shit, the first thing you've got to look at is, rather than going, okay, this is a common issue, I'm going to push through it, is like, what things are causing this? Is your volume too high in your program that's going to affect our body, our joints? Everyone is human, granted. Everyone in weightlifting wants to train hard, granted. But me, to you, to somebody else, we're going to have 3 different programs. I can't hack the volume. I can lift heavier, but I can't hack big sets. That's how I'm going to work. Where you, as an individual, you might go, no, I am actually really good with volume. Okay, I can handle that. I'm not confident with 1 rep maxes. Perfect. Let's bloody build up the volume of those Olympic lifts. But if your knees start to hurt within that, we're just going to reduce that volume down. So your knees then don't take or don't then get affected. We've got to manipulate those programs to work for the individual rather than go, no, weightlifting, we're going to have sore joints. I think that was potentially a thing that I thought when I first started weightlifting. I followed a Sonny Webster program. Fuck me, the volume was high. He was an elite level lifter. He could do that. That was his full-time job. Okay. My background is I was a breaststroker when I used to swim. That's a lot of snapping on my knees. So my knees have always been tired. I remember at 13, my knees were hurting. So doing 5 sets of 4 snatches is going to absolutely write me off before I go into my clean and jerks, if that's what I'm doing. So that volume fits for somebody, but not for me. I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 3 doubles. I'm going to action 3 really, really good sets of doubles. And then I'm going to move on. And that's literally what weightlifting is. You've got to sculpt it to how you are. Everyone's got a different training age. You might be training for 6-7 years. So yes, the volume's good, but you can train you might be training for the same amount of time, but you're a little bit older than that person. You're now a masters athlete, okay, and you can't hack that volume, so we reduce it down. I'm a lot younger than the person training 6-7 days a week. My volume's going to be dramatically dropped, but I'm only going to train 3 days a week because I know after, going to the 4th and the 5th session, my knees now start to get battered because the overall volume in the week is higher, is greater. Too great for me. Manipulate it to work for you. Quality over quantity. That's probably been the biggest focus of this podcast so far. Next one. Last question. Be honest, how many missed lifts before you call it quits for the day? If you're going for a 1 rep max, I honestly think, doesn't matter if it's competition or not, there is absolutely 0 point you going for 5+ failed attempts and going, I'm going to get this eventually. Yeah, you might get it eventually, but then when you start to work off a percentage of that, all your lighter percentages are going to feel like shit because your 1 rep max was a gamble. You got it potluck. Okay? Give yourself 3 attempts. That's what we do in a competition. Doesn't matter if you don't compete. I like to go by these rules, that we abide by the things that we get assessed on in weightlifting. No, it sounds shit, but yeah. So 3 attempts. I do that for squats and presses as well. I'm going to go for my first attempt just shy of my 1 rep max. I'm then going to go for a 1 rep max. I've hit my 1 rep max. I'm going to go heavy. I failed it, but it feels like it's there. I'm going to go again. I failed it. I still think it's there. Go for the 3rd. If I get it, brilliant. That's what I'm going to finish at. It's maximal. If I fail it, that's fine. I'm not going to then have another set. 3 fails and move on. That's how I would look at that. That's the simplest way. And that would go for every single exercise. I wouldn't look to change that for anything else. that is the end of the podcast. As I said at the start, I have created a free community called the Optilift Performance Lab. There's all my athletes in there. There's people that I don't coach but have access to free resources that I've put out there. A big resource that's in the group is called the Weightlifting Toolbox. Literally, when you look at what is included in the Weightlifting Toolbox and what you're going to gain from this, it is astronomical. There's literally 3 levels to it. Break down the movement, we've got the foundations. Have you got those foundations in place? We then look at phase 2, which is the building blocks, putting those movements together. Phase 3 is the technical faults, okay? All the common issues that I have seen in the snatch clean split jerk. Doesn't matter if you are an absolute beginner, never lifted before, do the weightlifting toolbox. If you've been lifting for say 6 to 12 months and you've got technical issues in that movement, all you're going to do is reverse that. You're going to start with step 3, look for your common fault that you're seeing, look at the drills, look at the cues that I want you to work on, go into phase 2, the building blocks of the movement, and start to drill it. Literally, I have put together something that really shouldn't be free, because however long you've been doing weightlifting for, however short you've been doing it for, honestly, it is a brilliant tool, and you can always just go back to it and use it as a guide throughout your lifting career. But yeah, that is the end of the podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to click like and subscribe. I shall see you in episode 20 this week.